Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. Yes.
But it was blind luck, but it works.
Yeah, no, but it's an awesome, I love it picture. Okay, I'm just gonna start like this.
You know, if you open it, you can see I'm holding a chick as well.
Yeah. I saw the whole photograph, then you see that. That's what's so cool about it. But on your profile picture, you just see, looks like, who's this mad guy with the hello everyone. Now guessing in what today's video is about, if you look at the intro. Now my late father taught me that if you want to learn something, you spend time with an expert on a specific subject. Now, I'm fortunate and blessed enough to be with a friend and birding mentor, Mr. Geoff Lockwood, and I think today's going to be a hoot because he's going to tell us a bit about Delta Park spotted eagle owls. And hello Geoff, welcome to the channel.
Thanks, Geoff. It's good to be here.
Same here. It's like I said, it's a blessing to me anyway. And for those of you that don't know who Geoff Lockwood is, he's as wise as an old owl. No, I'm just kidding. As a young man, I watched a program on television called 50-50, and Geoff spoke about birds there. And that's why I said he's my birding mentor. Whenever I don't know anything about birding, Geoff has a wealth of knowledge and he's always willing to help. So if you're ever in Delta Park and you walk into him, say hello. He's a friendly chap and he'll tell you a bit about the owls. But today, we're lucky, he's going to talk about a very specific pair of owls in the park. So Geoff, a quick recap last season. What happened with the spotties here in the park?
Okay, well, we maybe need to go back even further, the year before, because we have had, I've been watching these owls for over 45 years. Obviously not the same owls, they've been replacement males and females over that time. But most years have gone in a fairly predictable way. And then 2 seasons back, everything was looking great. We had the normal clutch of 3 eggs, the 3 chicks hatched, everything went well, they fledged, they disappeared briefly, went up to the school behind the park, and then came back and then took up their sort of normal late haunt, which is the lower roof outside our kitchen window. So you could literally in the morning look out and see the whole flippin' family parked out and fooling around on the roof below. And all looked great. I mean, it looked like a classic standard, you know, everything going right here. And then suddenly in quick succession we lost first the chick, one chick, and then the male. The chick looked fine in the morning and then literally walked over to a pool of rainwater on the roof and fell face down and died. And 3 days later the male died. Excuse me. And so that was kind of like, wow, okay, now what the hell? And females minus a mate, she's got these 2 still dependent chicks. And that carried on. I mean, she managed to keep those 2 going. They were already at the stage where they were doing some hunting for themselves. But then the burning question began in the beginning of last year. Is she going to get a mate? And she's a strange owl. She's weird on a number of levels, but one of the most obvious is she very seldom calls. That is kind of strange. Previous females, you know, you'd hear in the evenings, particularly going into the breeding season, these extended duets coming from the tower, you know, kind of just sending the signal out there to everybody, hey, there's a pair here and we're getting ready to breed, so don't stick your nose in this side. She very rarely got involved in that, and so it was remarkable. Late January, early February, she just began calling and calling and calling. And it was very obvious in the context of our history together that she now was missing a mate. And she was sending that message out there, I need company, there's a gap here. Anyway, on the 28th of February, I was lying in bed early in the morning and she started again. Next minute I heard a male respond. Bloody hell, she's attracted a potential suitor. Great, fantastic. Anyway, I went down and I found this guy in the tree next to her. And he was crazy. This was patently a fresh out of the nest kind of young male. He hadn't a clue
No
what was
experience.
going. I mean, he looked at this female from a distance, like, you know, is it safe to come closer now? Hell of a nice looking owl, really unusual colouring. And it was just fascinating last year to watch him step into this role, because he literally was a bird from the previous year, the same age as their chicks roughly. So he literally was now less than a year old, and here he's stepping up to actually become, you know, this mate of this female. And it really was fun watching. And I can remember every time I posted about some ridiculous thing this guy did, and, you know, is he able to catch anything, you know, and next minute he's proudly sitting there munching on a mole rat. And, you know, is he going to be able to step up and protect a female if she does nest against these crows, because we were seeing plenty of crows coming in the winter here.
They're becoming a problem.
2 seasons over 60 just arrive out of nowhere, and they actually drove the owls out of the park for a couple of months. So so that was the start, and last season just went amazingly. This little guy stepped up every turn, and everything looked good. You know, we got 3 chicks fledged, and I went off, and I was unfortunately away for 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks doing a tour. When I got back, came out, and here the whole family was sitting in the tree behind the building waiting to say hi. And hell, it looked fantastic. And then the next evening I came down, and there was something off. The chicks were begging at about 5 in the afternoon, and they were obviously famished. So the male flew to a tree, and the 2 chicks just literally mugged him and nearly knocked him out of the tree, you know, Daddy feed me. And she was off to the side, and then the next day I came out, same issue, and this time she wasn't even with the family, she was round the front of the building. And then the next day, gone. I mean, literally disappeared. We couldn't find her. A couple of times over the next few weeks we could hear a female calling in the distance, but we couldn't even be sure it was her. And for literally 48 days there was no sign of her. And the male in the meantime was trying desperately to feed these 3 chicks. And I mean, he worked his tail off, but one of the chicks was on the ground and got savaged by a dog, and we subsequently found it, the body, so it didn't make it. But so what the hell was that? I thought the female had gone, you know, dead, obviously, never see her again. And then a couple of months afterwards, I look out the window and I thought, oh well, the male's sitting in her old spot. And I had another look at her. I said, that's not the male, it looks like her. And they're not ringed and they're not marked in any way, and she doesn't have any obvious distinctive features, but I kind of thought the only way to really satisfy me is to see how, you know, whether she'll react normally to me. So I went downstairs, climbed out of the window onto the roof and walked towards her, and she let me get to within 1.5 meters of her. And with the same kind of, you know, you kind of thing, I thought, okay, she's back. But man, oh man, was he unimpressed. I mean, they were sleeping in separate rooms. She was in the front, he was at the back of the building. And so, you know, it's been kind of interesting from that strange, odd season with this inexplicable disappearance and reappearance. And then this season, again, things have changed. Last year, I was really blown away. The male gets into the thick of it. You know, the crows come, I hear them, I go and climb the ladder, look over the wall, and here he is sitting at the entrance to the nest, guarding her and guarding the chicks. This year, he stays in his tree. You're on your own, you know, and she's got to face them down, and she does, which has been really incredible. So, you know, it's been fun being part of that and being able to see that. And 3 years ago, I started sharing all of this because, you know, it's one thing having all that good stuff to yourself, but it's really nice when you can actually share it with people, and also as things are happening, by explaining what's going on.
And then people learn that way. Yeah, that's fantastic.
So it's great fun.
I always tell my wife, if I see something nice, it's like hitting a hole in one on the golf course, and there's no one else that saw it. So telling people about this kind of thing is magic.
Yeah. It's been, and you know, they've got a good following. People love owls anyway, and it's kind of, and then very few people are fortunate enough to see the kind of stuff 100%. That I get to see on a regular basis. They also don't have to stress quite as much as I do. Because at the moment,
it is stressful.
At the moment, these chicks are just at the stage where they're not quite ready to formally leave, but they're active enough to fall from the nest roof down onto the big roof at the back of the building. And one even managed it down onto the ground over the weekend. And when it went missing yesterday, we were out looking for it, and when we couldn't find it during daylight, I just sort of kept walking around the building, and, as it got dark, until I could, get a line on it. And when I finally found it, it was sitting in the road. And when it saw me walking towards it, it just crouched down and tried to look like concrete or tarmac. Not great survival skills at the moment. So it's back up on the roof next to the box, and basically, if past experiences are anything to go by, that couple of days on the ground teaches them quickly.
Gave it a good fright.
Good fright. They now kind of, for some reason, think that roof's quite good.
They'll stay there for a bit. The other thing, in a public park like this, I suppose when they're on the ground, a big threat are people walking their dogs.
Dogs. I mean, we lost a chick last year. We also have a lot of people, and one of the scary things with people and owls is not everybody thinks they're the best things in sliced bread. So there's a fairly widespread fear of owls in certain populations, and if those guys see them, they're just as likely to throw a brick at them. And so it's a balancing act. You want people to know
about it.
You'd love them when the chicks are out to actually come and have a look at them and watch them learning to hunt on the lawn and so on. But equally, you actually just worry that if the wrong people see them, then it goes bad.
But luckily, I think with education like what you do here in the park, those uneducated people when they learn about what's going on, they also start to protect that.
You hope so. I mean, I think a large part of that fear is based on a superstition which, if you think about it logically, historically no one died in hospitals. There weren't hospitals. You died at home in bed, and almost probably 80 or 90% of people died at night. So there happens to be an owl calling outside, and so now it's the owl's fault. Oma was 185, or 104. She's had a great old life, but she died, so it's the owl's fault. It doesn't.
I know for a fact, my father-in-law years ago, just when I started dating my missus, when there was an owl on the roof, he said, "Go chase it away," because that's what they were taught. So, but I love things like this, educating people, especially youngsters, because I always tell young ones. Over the weekend I spoke to another young man, and I said to him, you know what, if you start loving this, you protect what you want to love. And his grandma told me he's hooked, so
good.
So that's what it's about.
We need more of them, lots more of them, because there's a whole lot of things threatening the things you and I get so much of a joy out of. But it's great, and as I said, it's just wonderful to be in a position to actually share this. And the vision down the line is also to get a nest cam.
That would be good.
For no other reason than at least I'm not sitting there on the roof waiting for her to leave so I can check whether the eggs have hatched or not. If she stands up and walks around and looks to see what's going on, you can actually take a peek at the same time. So
that would be something special. So if there's anyone out there that wants to sponsor a nest cam for Delta Park, He is the man to speak to. Your name will be mentioned, I promise. Well, Geoff, I thank you for talking to the channel RaptorJ. It means a lot to me. And like I said, you're a birding mentor, and I appreciate what you do just in general. Thank you for bringing people into birding. I love it.
Well, and thank you for sharing your birds at the farm with me as well, because that was also great.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
And with the rest of us. Cheers.
Thank you, Geoff. Guys, keep on watching the end of the video. I'll put up some footage of the female from this park. We're actually sitting underneath a tree in the tea garden where she's usually perched during the day. And I think I'll put up some footage of one of this year's chicks that Geoff mentioned came off the nest. Otherwise, and enjoy. Please like, share, and tell everyone about birding in general.
Look at the baby elk.
He's beautiful.